Welcome to the Labour Force. I am Mugwena Maluleke. Government and public sector unions have until the end of next week to finalise a new wage agreement for the country's 1.2 million civil servants. This after the parties agreed on a draft agreement 2 weeks ago, which was then put on the table for a period of 21 days for undecided unions to make up their minds whether to sign or not. Only 34.5% of the unions were ready to sign when the draft agreement was reached 2 weeks ago. The South African Democratic Teachers Union, which represents 21% of the workforce, was the first to accept government's offer of a 1.5% increase. In addition, the lowest paid workers will receive a monthly cash gratuity of 1,695 rand a month, and the highest paid employees will receive 1,200 rand a month. 15% of the unions are required to reach a 50% threshold to conclude and implement the wage deal. For the latest, we are joined by the convener of COSATU Public Sector Unions, Mr. Mugwena Maluleke. Mr. Maluleke, it's a pleasure to have you back on the show. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Baba Mutra, and good afternoon to your viewers at home. Thank you for having us indeed.
It's 1 week to go to the end of the 21-day period. Is a deal in sight?
We remain very hopeful because we are prisoners of hope as workers, that when we are given 21 days in 2018, the last union signed on the 11th hour when it was almost like 2 hours before the end of 21 days. So we're still remaining very hopeful for the collective agreement to be signed.
Now, let's look at the path to the agreement being signed. Your counterparts in COSATU, NEHAW and POPCRO, who are big unions themselves in their own right, have officially come out and said they are rejecting the offer, so they won't be signing. Now we have the Public Servants Association, a FEDUSA affiliate, saying right now they are the kingmakers. They hold all the cards. If they come in, you get 50% and you have a deal. If not, you don't have a deal. Please explain the path to a deal as things stand at the moment from where you are sitting.
Where we are sitting, Baba Mutra, is that indeed the agreement is signed by about 34.72% currently since the 12th, and it has got 21 days, as you have correctly indicated. And therefore, if we are able to get 15.28, we then have a collective agreement that will be implemented. That is the path. And therefore, we're still waiting for a few unions that we're still looking for a mandate, basically, from their members. One of them was DINOSA and the other was PSA. So we'll hear what happens. But after 21 days, if there is no majority signature, the agreement will be withdrawn by the government. And any party can then write to the government to reinstate that, and we start afresh again in terms of waiting for another mandate. So the path is that, yes, we are remaining hopeful that any of the union that would sign would be able to take us to 50%.
Okay, just to be clear about this, if the PSA were not to come in, do you still have the path to getting that 15%, which takes you to 50%?
If the PSA were not to come to the party and DINOSA comes, and we still would not be able to make it because POPCRO had indicated that they are not going to be signing. So we'll still not be able to have, or any other union in FEDUSA that had not signed, or any union under SABC that has not signed. If they sign, we may not have a majority signature. So if the PSA signs alone, it makes almost about 18%. So therefore, it will give the agreement a go-ahead. So that is what happens in politics of negotiation. These are the workers, irrespective of their affiliation or ideology. The issue is that we are saving the workers, and therefore we believe that the unions will take this into consideration as and when they take final decisions, that the workers did not get any increase in 2020, and therefore the workers would really appreciate to have something in their pockets in 2021. So yes, if the PSA doesn't come in and POPCRU and DINOSA do not come in, if POPCRU and DINOSA come in, we have got an agreement. But so far we know that POPCRU had said that they will not be able to sign. So the last union that is still remaining in FEDUSA is the PSA.
Well, indeed, it does sound like the PSA are the kingmakers at this point. And I understand that tomorrow they are likely to host a media briefing where they will make their decision known, whether they are in or out. And of course, we'll be keenly looking forward to that briefing. Now, assuming that the PSA does come in terms of worker unity, which is something that you've stressed a lot, even on this show, having you guys in COSATU, all the unions in COSATU, public unions, you make up the majority of the representation in the public service. Having you as SATU and NEHAW and POPCRU on the other hand not agreeing or seeing eye to eye in terms of the offer on the table, even if the PSA were to come in and you reach present you have an agreement, how will that affect the relations, the labor relations in the public service, especially in the COSATU bloc, the COSATU caucus, having you and NEHAW and POPCRU not on the same page in terms of this agreement?
Well, I must indicate that we remain united because we respect that each and every organization is autonomous, is independent in terms of how they take their decisions. So we have always been emphatic around the issue of uniting the workers. And however, when it comes to the issue of signing, it's different when we are still negotiating, because when you're negotiating, you need everyone to put the pressure that you need to move the employer from a 0% to where the employer is. However, it is always possible, it's uncommon that you would have unions of COSATU, some signing and some not signing. I would remember that there was a time that we would not sign, but NEHAW would sign. So we don't find it very difficult to be able to understand those particular dynamics. That does not change our relationship. We'll continue to be in the JMC, and therefore respecting the decisions of their members that have said that they were not happy and therefore they may not be able to sign, because it's uncommon that we have the unions in COSATU, some signing and not others not signing. Others signing and the others not signing. So it is common when it comes to the end of the negotiation. What is important is that with that unity that we have in facilitation, we have been able to push the employer to where the employer is now. Without that unity, we would have not been able to push the employer alone.
Mr. Maluleke, I have to thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show, and please enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck for the way ahead, the week ahead, and then of course we will look and see if indeed an agreement is reached in the public service. Well, that's where we leave it. Up next, the Alternative Investor with Nastasia Arendse. Stay with us.